Imagine if banks practiced what they preach. They'd be out of business in no time. While they're busy convincing you to park your hard-earned money in their vaults, they're doing the exact opposite behind the scenes. Your bank doesn't stash that cash away. That would be financial suicide. Instead, they take your deposits and immediately put that money to work through investments. It's a fascinating contradiction. They tell you to save while they're busy spending. Think about it. Mortgages, credit cards, lines of credit. All these financial products have one thing in common. They make banks richer through your interest payments. Secret number one. Your savings are an asset for the bank. Even though your name is on the account and you can withdraw or check your balance whenever you like, that money isn't technically yours anymore in the strictest sense. You've lent it to the bank, and they're obligated to return it if you ask. In financial terms, the bank owes you that money. So your savings become one of the bank's debts, a promise to pay you back when you decide to withdraw. Here's an example to make it crystal clear. Imagine you deposit $10,000 into a savings account. That $10,000 shows up as an asset on the bank's balance sheet because they can now use it for loans or investments. At the same time, it's recorded as a liability because they owe that money to you, plus any interest they've agreed to pay. Now, why does this matter? Because understanding this dynamic gives you a clearer picture of how banks operate and how your financial choices fit into the bigger system. It's important to know that when you make a deposit, you've essentially given the bank permission to use your money to earn profits. In return, you're compensated with interest, but the rates will often be much lower than what the bank earns from lending your money out. The bottom line? Your savings might feel like they're just sitting there, but they're constantly in motion within the economy. And recognizing how your savings act as a building block for banks can help you make smarter financial decisions. After all, knowledge is one of the most powerful assets you can ever own. Secret number two. Banks love when you spend money that you don't have. Did you know banks are raking in billions every year just from overdraft fees? That's right. Every time you spend $1 you don't actually have, they slap you with a $35 charge. And here's the kicker. People rarely overdraft just once. It becomes a monthly habit, draining your finances. By taking control of your spending, you can finally keep that money in your own pocket instead of padding the bank's profits. Picture this. You're at the grocery store swiping your debit card for $8.50. You feel good about it. Apples, milk, maybe a candy bar. Life's little pleasures. But here's the catch. You had no idea you only had $6 in your account. Now, thanks to that $2.50 deficit, you're hit with a, wait for it, $35 overdraft fee. Yup. That candy bar just turned into the most expensive impulse buy of your life. But here's the question. Why do banks love when this happens? Why are they practically jingling their pockets every time you fall below zero? Let's break it down. Overdraft fees are part of what's called non-interest income. See, traditionally, banks made most of their money lending out deposits at higher interest rates than they paid to savers. Simple system, right? But modern banks have gotten a taste of something far juicier. Fees. Overdraft fees, late fees, maintenance fees, you name it. And overdraft fees in particular are a goldmine. In 2022 alone, U.S. banks pulled in $6 billion, that's right, billion, from overdraft fees. And don't think it's only because of careless, high-spending millionaires. No, most overdraft fees hit people with the least amount of money, folks living paycheck to paycheck. In fact, one study found that around 80% of overdraft fees come from just 9% of bank customers. And these customers, often they're slipping into the red because of rent or groceries, not splurging at luxury stores. Now, what's wild is that this system is designed to keep you in a cycle of fees. Let's say you end up overdrafting because bills are tight. The bank pays the transaction, technically a courtesy, but then slaps on a hefty fee to cover their risk. But remember, they don't lose money in that moment. They just transfer your risk back onto you with interest. Essentially, you're penalized for being broke. Banks also know you're more likely to overdraft more than once. Each subsequent transaction that tips you below zero can attract another fee. A $2 coffee? Another $35 charge. It spirals. And if you're too strapped for cash to pay it off quickly, they'll tack it onto your debt, sometimes even reporting you to collections. Here's the kicker. Banks don't want you to opt out of overdraft protection. Sure, you could tell them to decline your card when your balance is too low. But banks? Oh, they'll emphasize how embarrassing it is to have your card flat out rejected. What if you need gas late at night? What if you're buying an anniversary gift? They'll say. And suddenly that $35 punishment for a 6 overdrawn account seems almost worth it. So, why do banks love overdraft fees? Because they've turned an innocent slip-up into a multi-billion-dollar business model. They've found a way to profit off the financially vulnerable on a system that was marketed as a convenience. And that's the thing about convenience costs. They're never really convenient for you, are they? Secret number 3. You can own your bank. Becoming a bank owner is far more accessible than you realize. Major financial institutions such as JP Morgan Chase are all publicly traded companies that anyone with a simple brokerage account can invest in. By purchasing even a single share, you instantly transform from a customer into an owner, entitled to share in their substantial profits. Consider this. These banking giants generate enormous profits quarterly, and they must decide what to do with this wealth. While they might save or reinvest some, they often distribute portions directly to shareholders through dividends, real cash payments you receive simply for holding shares. Why leave this money on the table when you could be collecting regular dividend checks from the very banks that profit from everyone else? Secret number 4. Your bank is not your financial advisor. Imagine this. You walk into a bank one sunny afternoon. Maybe it's to deposit a check, open an account, or maybe you're just confused about what to do with your money. You watch the teller smile, point you to a financial consultant, and 5 minutes later you leave thinking, wow, I've got this financial wizard in my corner. My bank really debts me. But let's pause for a moment. Does your bank really debt you? Or do they just see you as, well, a number in their ledger? Let's be upfront here. Your bank is not your financial advisor. Sure, they may offer advice. They may have glossy brochures that say things like, let us help you plan for the future. But underneath all that, banks are businesses. Their priority is profit, not necessarily your financial health. Take this example. You sit down with a bank representative to talk about saving for your child's education. They tell you about their amazing savings account with a 0.5% interest rate. It's the best rate we offer, and you think that sounds nice. Then they casually mention their new investment fund and encourage you to put some money there for better returns. Convenient, right? But hold on. Did they suggest this fund because it's tailored to your risk tolerance, goals, and timeline? Or because it nets the bank higher fees? See, that fund might be filled with expensive management costs, vague contract terms, or risky investments that don't even align with your needs. And yet it was offered as advice. Is that advice, or is it just a sales pitch? Here's another classic. You approach your bank to discuss a loan for your next big purchase. Let's say a new car. The bank representative lays out an enticing offer with a seemingly reasonable interest rate. They might even assure you, we've structured this loan specifically for someone with your income and credit score. Sounds nice, right? But they conveniently leave out alternatives. Maybe a different loan type would be cheaper. Or maybe borrowing less or from a credit union would save you thousands over time. Advice like that wouldn't benefit their bottom line, so guess what? They don't mention it. The problem is we often mistake these conversations for personal financial counseling. It feels personalized because they look at some of your details, your savings, your credit score, maybe your spending habits. But in reality, advice that drives the bank's profits may not be what's best for you. So here's the lesson. Banks are service providers. They're good at safekeeping your money, managing transactions, and offering basic tools. But when it comes to personalized long-term guidance, you need someone who isn't trying to sell you their next product, like a licensed financial advisor, for instance. The next time your bank flashes a smile and calls you valued, it's worth asking yourself, do they value me, or do they value what they'll profit from me? Always remember, your financial health deserves true advice, not a sales pitch disguised as one. Secret number 5. Banks love when you are financially stupid and in debt. Imagine this scenario. You're sitting at the kitchen table staring at the pile of bills that just came in the mail. Your rent is due next week, your car payment is looming in a few days, and the grocery budget is already stretched to its breaking point. But then you see it. Sprinkled amongst all the stress is a shiny envelope from the bank. Big letters on the front. You're pre-approved. It lists how much you could borrow and promises you the money in just minutes. No paperwork, no hassle, no worries. At first glance, it feels like a lifeline. But behind the glossy advertisements and cheerful slogans is a simple truth. Banks love people who are strapped for cash and financially desperate. Why? Because it's profitable. Being bad with money makes them good money. Here is how it works. The debt cycle is like quicksand. It is designed to keep you in it. The person in debt often starts with genuine need, whether it's an emergency expense, mounting bills, or a moment of financial weakness. But once the money is borrowed, the interest charges begin. Suddenly, it is no longer just the amount you borrowed that you owe. It is that amount plus monthly fees, penalties, and sky-high interest rates. Let's break this down with an example. Say you take out a credit card to cover a $2,000 emergency like a medical bill, or maybe you desperately need to replace a broken fridge. If you only pay the minimum balance each month with an average interest rate of 22%, it could take you years to pay it off, costing you thousands more by the end. That is the trap. Banks collect money on money that doesn't physically exist. It's all interest. To them, you're no longer a person. You're an endless stream of revenue. Now it gets worse. These systems aren't just neutral. You're being actively targeted. Banks and financial institutions often zero in on poor communities, intentionally making loans and credit seem more appealing or necessary. Payday loans are one of the most blatant examples. They advertise quick cash loans with friendly slogans, knowing full well it traps low-income borrowers in cycles of debt that are impossible to escape. Oftentimes, the interest rates are so high they surpass 300%. Even worse? If a borrower doesn't pay within weeks, additional fees pile up, sometimes doubling what they owe. And just look at where these payday lenders are located. Studies show they're disproportionately found in neighborhoods with lower average incomes or higher minority populations. Why? Because these areas have less financial literacy and fewer access points to traditional banking, making people more vulnerable. They feel like they have no choice. They don't have savings. Their banks won't give them low-interest loans, and they need cash now to survive. The system isn't broken. It is operating exactly the way it was designed to, creating profit for banks out of others. Misfortune. So the next time you re-scrolling through your emails and you see a flashy offer for instant credit, remember this. That lifeline? It's actually just a rope pulling you deeper into financial dependence. Secret number 6. You need a savings goal. You need to understand now is what is your goal when it comes to saving your money. So I'm going to go over the 3 different goals that you can have when it comes to saving your money. Olivia is scrolling through her favorite online store on a quiet Sunday afternoon when her eyes land on it. A sleek, comfortable couch she's been dreaming about for months. But as she checks her bank account, her enthusiasm shrinks. Although she gets paid regularly, Olivia hasn't saved for larger purchases like this one. Her account balance mostly fluctuates between last month's bills and next month's paycheck. She sighs, closes her laptop, and tells herself, maybe next year. The truth is, Olivia represents a lot of people. Many of us know we should save money, but without clear goals to guide us, it's easy for our income to slip through our fingers. What Olivia needs isn't just a bank account, it's a plan. Now let's rewind to last year. Olivia could have started by organizing her savings into 3 main categories: emergencies, purchases, and investments. Why these 3? Because they fuel not just stability but opportunity in everyday life. First, emergencies. Let's say Olivia's car breaks down unexpectedly next month. Experts suggest setting aside 3 to 6 months worth of living expenses, which Olivia could have built by putting away even just $100 a month. Second, purchases. This is the category Olivia's couch dream falls under. When you save for larger purchases ahead of time, you give yourself the freedom to buy guilt-free and avoid impulse spending that can derail your budget. By setting a monthly savings goal specifically for purchases, Olivia could have had the couch without hesitation. Whether it's furniture, a vacation, or the latest tech gadget, creating this savings category turns your dreams into tangible rewards. Finally, investments. This is where big picture thinking comes in. Olivia's bank account could do more than just hold her cash. It could grow it. By setting aside even a small portion for investments, she'd be securing her long-term financial future. It's about putting your money to work: stocks, bonds, mutual funds, or even a retirement account. The key is consistency. A little here and there adds up over the years, giving Olivia wealth that compounds beyond her paycheck. Here's the takeaway. Having a bank account is only half the equation. Without savings goals, your money lacks direction. Emergencies can spiral into debt, purchases remain dreams, and investments may never happen. Olivia ER's story reminds us that a savings plan isn't just about numbers. It is about peace of mind, freedom, and future growth. So, the next time you log into your bank account, ask yourself, are you making your money work for your goals? Don't be Olivia with an empty plan. Be Olivia with a strategy that turns life's what-ifs into yeses. Secret number 7. Use the bank to make money. There's one thing we all know about banks. They hold money. But did you know that banks can actually help you make money too? They're not just a place to store cash and write checks. They offer tools, strategies, and opportunities that you can use to grow your wealth. First up, earning interest. If you're looking for a straightforward way to make money, a high-yield savings account can be your best friend. Some banks offer competitive interest rates if you keep a certain amount of money deposited. Over time, your balance earns passive income. It's like watching your money grow without lifting a finger. And the best part? Your initial deposit stays safe since it's insured by the FDIC up to certain limits. Next, let's talk about certificates of deposit, or CDs. Think of them as savings accounts with a twist. You agree to lock up your money in the bank for a set period, say 6 months or even 5 years. And in return, the bank rewards you with higher interest rates than a typical savings account. The longer you lock in your money, the higher the rate. It is a low-risk way to grow your savings if you don't need immediate access to the cash. Now here's where things get interesting. Loans for investments. Banks don't just hold your money, they allow you to borrow it too. If you've ever heard the phrase, "it takes money to make money," this is where loans come into play. For example, you can use the bank's money in the form of a mortgage to purchase real estate. Then, you can rent out that property to generate income or sell it later for a profit. Banks also provide business loans, allowing you to invest in launching or expanding a venture that can pay dividends in the long run. Another way banks can help you make money: rewards and perks. Some banks offer cashback programs or rewards checking accounts. Every time you swipe your connected debit or credit card for purchases, you can earn points, miles, or even cold hard cash. Over time, depending on your spending habits, these rewards can add up and turn into tangible savings or travel opportunities. Finally, here's a bonus tip: side hustles with bank capital. Some people strategically open lines of credit to fund projects like flipping houses or starting online businesses. By properly managing the debt and generating returns, they use the bank's money to build their own fortune. What are your thoughts? Let us know below in the comments if these tips were helpful. Thanks for watching. Until next time.